My father's glasses sit like windows between the steady voice comforting clients on his couch and the weary eyes trembling before his son. He wants to talk. He wants to have a meeting. But face to face, our words always crumble into the same cracked, reoccurring conversations. His voice is always stern, yet too scared to calm me down. And my wings are too fast to stop flying towards the sick beauty I see flaring in the sun. So, Father, let's have a real conversation. Before I plunge into the depths of this syringe and slam the poison of my self-disgust into the blood that courses through both of our veins. Before your Freudian explanations no longer conceal the desperation of your commands. Before the unspoken apologies we owe each other erupt in screams and words that flow like liquid fire, set ablaze by the regrets we see reflected in each other's lives. Because, Father, I am sorry. But what is an apology? An admission of failure? An acceptance of harms that can't be healed? Sorry will never wash away the small dotted scars trailing down my disgraced limbs, nor will it breathe truth into the lies that you and me, we built together out of silence, short answers. Sorry will never erase all the doctors, diagnoses, medications, and theories about the human mind that took us further away from what it really means to be human. You know, sorry is simply a resolution without a solution. A silent plea to forgive the wounds we've left upon each other's backs. So, let's forget about the apologies and the failures to do nothing more than whisper warnings of the disaster neither one of us wanted to acknowledge we saw. Stop dwelling over the ones we did. Let's just endure one more meeting, pretending to believe what we see, not listen to what we hear. And maybe, just maybe, the love behind your fear will call me back before I crash towards the earth with melted wings. Like 4 minutes?
Yeah, I think we do it, John. Yeah.
All right, cool. It's always great to do a poem about your former heroin addiction, look up and see coworkers. This is called In the Absence Of. I knew a guy who got into a car accident the day of his wedding. It was only a fender bender, so he was able to go through with the ceremony, but the impact ruptured an abscess that, unbeknownst to him, had developed in his back, and consequently, he had to be rushed to the hospital shortly after saying I do. I met him in AA, and we weren't close, but I got to know his story a bit. He'd struggled with drinking for over a decade, coming in and out of meetings, but never managing to get more than 30 days. That was until his girlfriend gave him an ultimatum. She'd been with him for years and stuck by him through late-night hospital visits, bar brawls, long nights spent trying to find him while receiving angry, incoherent text messages, canceled Christmas trips as a result of all their money being blown on a week-long binge, and vacations that simply gave him another place to get fucked up, and her another time to ask herself, why was it so damn hard to leave him? But after he managed to get into a fight with the groom at her sister's wedding, she had enough. She told him if he didn't quit drinking immediately and do something to repair the damage he had caused, she'd walk away forever. She didn't say it in that desperate, sobbing, threatening way. That only requires a month or two of good behavior to smooth things over. No. She told him in a calm, resolute tone that, in my experience, women only use if they've really made up their mind. And when faced with that tone, this guy cleaned up. He went to meetings regularly, prepared his relationship with his mother, brother-in-law, and all the friends he fucked over, and drove full force towards being the man she always seemed to know he could be. And after they'd been clean a year, the two decided to tie the knot and live as happily ever after as reality ever permits. Which we all know is usually just enough to stay alive. He doesn't know who he is anymore. It was bacteria in that abscess that poisoned his blood and ultimately caused severe brain damage. And his wife, who waited so long for him to change, changes his diapers and regularly reminds him who she is. If you wonder why I'm gracing you with this uplifting tale, it's because the last time I saw this guy, I was hearing about God. God. grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. I'm listening to a chorus of voices recite these words, including my own, while drool runs down his chin and his eyes stare into an oblivion that I personally would rather embrace death than see. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. The words roll off my tongue like half-dead fish gasping for air on dry land because I can't help but wonder, where the fuck is God in this? Is there a point I'm missing? Are there flowers being watered by these tears that I can't see? Is there some warmth flowing from the pyre of all these hopes that I'm simply too cold to feel? And I think that this is bullshit. God, higher power, what have you? What God was looking on this woman as she walked down the aisle towards the fate of tending to the living ghost of a man she loved. What higher power saw fit to rob him of his mind just as he learned to put it to good use. My blood's boiling at this point, and I'm seconds away from smashing a window, knocking some fucker out, and storming to the nearest bar to order a double shot of Jack and toast to the meaninglessness of it all. When an image pops in my head, I remember. I remember lying on the hood of my friend Nat's car, feeling her warmth in contrast to the coolness of the metal and glass as we gazed up through clouds at balls of light that had traveled across an unfathomable stretch of darkness and crime to dazzle the sky above our heads. I remember eating at the pizza tour near my old house and having the owner's 8-year-old daughter giggle and poke in my face. The way the language barrier dissolved in her expressions and feeling as though the connection so present in that moment had been there long before we were born and would remain after we were gone. I remember driving across the Arizona desert at sunset while my brother played me Wish You Were Here for the first time, the way the mesa smoldered in the distance while pink and purple wonder draped across the sky and miles of sand and cactus that whispered secrets I would never need to understand. I remember every story I've heard about people risking their lives to help strangers, every random act of kindness I've ever witnessed, every Howlin' Wolf or Nina Simone song that makes pain sound beautiful, every teacher I've seen struggle to inspire, and every friend who's come to my aid when I haven't deserved it. There's been a lie. And every poem I've heard that made the distance between every person in the room disappear. I remember this, and then I think, where's God in this? Thank you.
Nick Waldman, everyone. You don't need a mic when you've got a voice like warm honey. I looked directly into his eyes when I said that. Okay, we've got the intermission. About 15 minutes. Get some food, get some beer.